What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I've given the engine base some time to cure up. The paint looks awesome. I'm really stoked on it. Anyways, tonight, as you can see, it's nighttime. Definitely a late start to the day. You Florida guys know that it can get brutally hot here, and it's been starting to heat up recently. So I'm kind of a night owl anyways, so personally it's a little bit more comfortable to work on the car at night sometimes. My neighbors are out of town right now, so I don't have to worry about making too much noise, so I'm taking this as an opportunity to take a break from the heat. In the last video, we got the bay painted, and I'm loving the color. I'm really excited to see how it turns out on the car. This video, I'm just going to be bolting some small stuff on. Now that the paint's cured, I can start transferring a few things over. The next major step is pulling the motor and swapping the front subframes and suspension around. On the other car, the subframe is actually modified to move the rack forward of like 15-20 mil. So I need to swap the front suspension around, and I can't really do that till I pull the SR out, and I can't really do that because I don't have an engine hoist right now. For now, I'm just gonna start bolting up some small stuff. I think I'm gonna start with the wiper system actually. I'm gonna go ahead and bolt the wiper motor on. So since I'm using the kouki wiring, obviously that's a part of the engine harness on the S14s anyways, so I'm gonna have to use my old kouki wiper motor, which is good because I don't even know if the other wiper motor works. It's been rained on many times. So yeah, so I'm gonna get started with the wiper system, get that all transferred over, and go from there. Basically this little socket here kind of pops into some linkage underneath here. It can be a little difficult to get to and get enough leverage to pop it back into place, and I won't be able to show it on camera because it's all kind of in a blind spot. But anyways, I'm gonna throw this thing in and we'll move on from there. So I'm going to start by bolting this thing on. That should give me a little bit more leverage when I'm trying to snap that linkage in place. So I know there's not much to see here, but I'm basically going to stick my arm all the way down here and try to pop this linkage on. There it is. Wiper motor's in. Next step, I gotta pull the wipers off of the red car. After the wipers get pulled, that plastic trim that goes across the top, like right here, I can throw that on this car, and that should be it for wipers. Basically, I just need to get these wipers off before I can get this cover off. Real easy, usually. Pop the caps off. Unbolt the wiper blades, 14 mil. Now, hopefully these come off pretty easily. Sometimes this is the hard part. They can be kind of seized on. You can try to pull on it a little bit, and in my case it came out, which is nice, but that's not always the case. I find prying up on it gently with something, obviously not against the glass, and actually tapping the top of this with a hammer to sort of break it free without putting too much force on everything is how I usually go about it. But this car was rebuilt not long ago, so they're not really seized in place, no big deal. There's a couple of Phillips head screws here that I'll pull out of the way. Some tabs holding it in place, so I'm just going to very carefully lift up on it and snap those tabs out of there. This plate is actually really rusted out on the other car, so this one, I think I actually cleaned it up and painted it last time. It looks a lot better than the other one, so we're just gonna use this. And I think I RTV'd this one on a little bit. So I'm just gonna clean this one up and throw it on the other car, then we can throw that plastic cover on. Alright, so the plastic trims are pulled. They're both about the same condition. Let me check the tabs actually. So looking at the underside, it actually turns out the one off the black car has some rust left over. I know I cleaned the one on the red car when it was built, so I'm just going to give that one another wipe down and toss it on there. So these little clips that hold this thing in place, they look kind of like this. They break all the time, but I have some, I've replaced some in the past, and I was able to salvage some from the other car. Again, another perk of having two cars to work with here is being able to salvage all kinds of little stuff that might be broken on one car. I actually can't install the wipers right now because I'm not exactly sure of the orientation of the motor. So I don't exactly know where to bolt them on. I won't be able to bolt them on until I power it on and know that the wiper motor is at the bottom position. If I were to install them at the incorrect position, there's a chance when I power the car that bad things could happen. Something could break. Anyways, wiper motor's on, plastic cover's on. Move on to the next thing. Here's a couple more things that I want to get bolted in tonight. But I actually want to put some spray paint on these first. These are just brackets and such. I'm not going to take the time to paint them with automotive paint. I'm just going to get the rust off of them, scuff them up, and get some nice flat black paint on them to sort of clean things up and stop the rust. Anyways, I'm just going to scuff these up real quick with a Brillo pad and hit them with some black spray paint and bolt them on. There's this little random black plate. It covers up this hole down here. I'm not really sure why it exists or why Nissan put it there, but it's basically just a cover for that hole. So yeah, I'm going to bolt that in real quick. Alright, so I spray painted some of those brackets. Now I'm just going to throw them on. I'm going to start with the hood brackets. Alright, so next up is these two radiator mount brackets. it's getting pretty late. I'm gonna call it for the night. Yeah, we'll pick up on this video tomorrow morning. Alright guys, so it is the next day. So I think I'm actually gonna go ahead and tackle the brake booster and get that sorted out. The brake pedal that's in this car is from an automatic. They kind of cut it to fit. So I think I'm gonna take the time to actually pull the brake pedal out of the red car. So basically, the way we gotta pull this pedal is we gotta get started by getting this brake booster out of the way. First things first, so I gotta pull this heat shield, drain the reservoir, pull the brake lines, remove the brake master cylinder, and there's 4 bolts underneath the dash that hold the brake master cylinder in place. Those 4 bolts are also what's holding the brake pedal in place, and there's 1 additional bolt up top. So yeah, let's go ahead and get this thing pulled out. You want to be real careful when you're dealing with brake fluid. This stuff will strip paint right off. I'm gonna try to get out what I can with this turkey baster. I really need to get a new one. Obviously this turkey baster isn't ideal, I can't get it all out. But anything I can do to reduce the mess is going to be helpful. Next thing I'm going to do is get this heat shield out of the way. Okay, now that I made a little bit more space, I can go ahead and unbolt these lines. I'll try to show you guys what I'm working with here. So this is an aftermarket brake line kit, similar to the Chase base kit, and it uses banjo bolts to sort of keep the lines away from the heat of the turbo manifold. Another alternative to this would be running a Frontier brake master cylinder. Banjo bolts are pretty simple. It's just 2 washers and a special bolt. You want to remove your brake lines first, because if you remove the brake master cylinder, you won't have the leverage to actually break the brake lines free afterwards. Alright, moving on. Now that my brake lines are disconnected, I can go ahead and finish pulling this brake master off. And it should just slide right on. So I removed the 4 nuts underneath, holding the brake booster under the firewall, and I pulled the pin out that connects it to the brake pedal, so it should just slide right out. It looks like my dump tube for my wastegate is getting in the way. I gotta go ahead and pull this off real quick. There it is. So I got both the brake boosters and brake pedals out of both cars. You can see them here. So everything on the left side is what I was running previously. Everything on the right side is what was in this car when I got it. Couple differences here. This is a manual brake pedal. You can tell because of the size of the brake pad here. This one is an automatic brake pedal. You can tell because it's much larger. They actually cut half of it off to make room for the clutch pedal. This is a standard S chassis brake master cylinder. You can tell because there's 3 ports. This is a Z32 brake master cylinder. One of the ports is blocked off. My car was running a thin brake booster. The other car has a much thicker brake booster. One's for an automatic, one's for a manual. I'm assuming the thicker one is for the automatic. I always assumed that I had a bit of a problem with my brake booster, so I'm actually going to try using the thicker brake booster. If it doesn't work out, it's not that big of a deal. I can swap the thin one in, no problem. But I am going to be using my manual brake pedal. At some point, this brake booster had a brake master bolted onto it that was leaking. Hence why there's some corrosion and some rust there. Not a big deal. I'm going to clean it off with a Brillo pad and throw some spray paint on it and it'll be fine. This is a factory bracket that fits on the brake booster. It holds your one-way valve in place, and you know, when I first started working on cars, I deleted as many brackets as I could find and got rid of a bunch of stuff. But as I've been doing this longer and longer, I start to appreciate some of those factory Nissan brackets. I still delete quite a few of them, but I like the OEM Plus look. So I think if I modify this a little bit and throw some black spray paint on it, it could actually look really good in the bay. I think we're going to try to utilize this thing and see how it looks. This side, I'm not really sure what it held, and the clip is missing and it's kind of bent up, so I don't really need it. I'm going to drill these two spot welds out from the back side here. We're going to hit this with a Brillo pad and spray it. So the brake booster and bracket is painted. Now it's time to just start throwing stuff back in. First things first, I got to throw that brake pedal back in, and then the booster goes on, and then we can throw on the master cylinder. We got the brake booster in, got the brake master in, the pedals all bolted up. It's looking pretty good. It's really amazing what you can do with a little bit of extra time and some spray paint. But anyways, last thing I'm going to do for the night is bolt up this clutch master cylinder that I got. My clutch master was definitely on its way out, so I have this one. It's just a O'Reilly's clutch master, nothing crazy. But yeah, last thing I'm going to do for the night is bolt this thing up, get it in there, and that'll be the brake pedal assembly done and the clutch pedal assembly done. While I was down there, I actually noticed that this car is missing a gas pedal, so I'm gonna have to pull that from the red car as well. But yeah, let's get this thing thrown in there. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot of progress, but it's a good start on getting this thing back together. Next major step is going to be pulling the motor out of the red car. Yeah, stay tuned for that. If you guys like the video, show me you like the video, leave a like. If you have any questions or recommendations, let me know in the comments below. And if you want to keep up with the build, I'm updating the build regularly on YouTube. So please consider subscribing. And yeah, that's going to do it for tonight, guys. I'll see you in the next one.